2, 1.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Paramount Fine Food Center here in Mississauga. I'm Jordan Jacklin, joined alongside Jared Rotenberg as we get you set for Game 1 of the GTHL playoffs in this matchup featuring the Mississauga Senators and the Don Mills Flyers. Jared, what do you expect from both sides heading into Game 1?
Well, Jordan, this is a fascinating matchup to start off these playoffs here. You have a matchup between the third-place team overall in the Mississauga Senators facing off against the sixth-place team overall in these Don Mills Flyers, and where the Mississauga Senators are better in many areas. This is a very close matchup. The Mississauga Senators are flying high heading into these playoffs, currently on a 9-game winning streak, and the Don Mills Flyers have struggled. They've lost their last game heading into the playoffs, but with so much offensive weapons on both sides, this certainly is going to be a matchup to look out for, with guys such as Jimmy Lombardi on these Don Mills Flyers and Dylan Chichurna, two names you absolutely need to have on your radar. But on the other side of the ice, the Mississauga Senators, you need to know about their goaltender, Jack Ivankovic, an absolute goalie who could steal the show, as well as players such as Caden Taylor and Ethan Broussard. This is going to be a really fun one here tonight, and I'm really excited to get this series underway.
Both teams line up for the draw as the refs have a conversation there with the wingers. But nonetheless, we are underway and the Sens have won it. Welcome to the GTHL playoffs. Back the other way now as they scramble forward in the neutral zone, and it's brought back by the Flyers. Going after it there was Surde. So they bring it back now and they'll send it around into the stick of Shamar Moses. He lets it go, and it goes back the other way for the Sens, who bring it past the red line. All the way down at the other end now, it's Moses retrieving it along the boards, and a first big hit thrown down low as the physicality is shown just 1 minute into this game. As they battle for it there down low once again and come up with it, they bring it back to the point. Quick shot in front of the net. There was a rebound, but the Sens were able to clear. Well, not actually, but now they do. It's Sean Costello skating it up until exit off for the shift. And now we get sent back again here as they go after. It's the Sens able to regain possession in front, and they just fall short on that shot attempt. Bringing it back the other way now, it's Taylor. Taylor trying to loft it up in front of the net. Almost tried to do the Trevor Zegras flip pass. But nonetheless, here we go once again. It's Surde bringing it around into the corner. They'll send it in down low. Max Anderson can't regain possession, but they'll hound for it once again. Taken down hard there by the Sens blue liner as they scramble for it once again, but the Flyers regain possession into the inner slot, and it's another hit once again in that slot area by the Sens, showcasing a physical presence. Here's Taylor with a far side shot. There's a rebound ensuing, bouncing puck, and it's gloved down by Poland.
And that was fancy footwork by Max Anderson in the offensive zone for those Don Mills Flyers earlier on that play. Just so silky smooth in his movement through the ice and through the zone. Such a well-crafted player there. So good in his puck handling ability. And really going to be a piece for these Don Mills Flyers that was looking to start off this offense earlier. But it's the Mississauga Senators back in their own offensive zone.
Ryder Graves couldn't hold the blue line now as they send it back out, just missing the offside, or nonetheless it will be deemed offside on the play.
And early on in this game, there has been so many chances on both sides. Both goaltenders, Abel Poland and Jack Ivankovic, having to be sharp there, as neither side has really been able to get set up offensively, but nonetheless they've sent some shots from inopportune areas into these goaltenders, and both have had to come up early with some big-time saves.
Sens regained in the offensive zone now, or in fact Dianov trying to help out there down low. As they poke away at it now, here is Dianov trying to bring it back for the wraparound chance. And it was turned aside by Poland. All the way at the other end of the ice. Now it's Shamar Moses just trying to get that shot through, but it was blocked in front by a stick. Nonetheless, now it's Moses once again down low going after it. Getting some assistance there along the way from Adam Smeaton. At the boards there, it's Ryan Days able to clear the puck back the other way now as it's in transition. Taken down hard there along the boards, and good defense there by the Flyers. Back the other way. Looking for options in front, just off the shoulder of Ivankovic. The Sens now will send a cross-seam pass, and it will be turned over once again once the Flyers regain pressure. Skated into the other end of the ice now. A Flyer taken down in front, but nonetheless, it's a point shot redirected off the pad of Ivankovic. kept in play, but the whistle will blow.
Early on in this game, both sides have shown examples of how good in transition they're capable of being. A lot of times, both these Don Mills Flyers and Mississauga Senators in the neutral zone have turned over the puck, and it's been the opposing side that's been so good at picking off those pucks in the neutral zone and taking them in to drive some offense. I'll certainly be looking at both sides to be better at maintaining the puck and holding on to that puck, as these bad giveaways can certainly lead to offense being driven for those opposing sides.
Justin Fernandez holds the blue line there along the half wall and sends it back. It was a shot on net by Charlie Pantalone as it gets redirected and out of play.
But that was a spectacular save made there, just keeping things simple for Jack Ivankovic in the net off that point shot from the Don Mills Flyers, sending it in. And it was the stick of Ivankovic that just absolutely shut that play down and redirected that puck over to the side end out of a danger area there, just stopping that shot from the point.
Max Anderson will line up for the draw for the Flyers in the offensive zone. Unable to win it back now. And good work there. Gabriel Trozo will clear the zone. Or rather, get sent up the half wall now, and they'll begin to rush the other way. It's Trozo dumping it in deep. As they go in for it, settling it down there is Medopoulos. And Caden Taylor causes the turnover there along the wall and sent back into the offensive zone by Jaden Connors. It went off a body in front, so the Flyers will regroup, and Ivankovic will come out to play it. Trying to reach out for that puck there. The other way was Graves, and they were able to get it back into the neutral zone. Flyers now once again trying to regain possession. Couldn't, and just off the stick there, Vadim Valentini, and it was deemed offside.
Now, early on in this game, there's been a lot of examples of players into the offensive zone there just failing to pick up those passes and connecting on those passes there. And there was also an example of Ethan Broussard falling in the offensive zone as we see some pushing and shoving here at the face-off. But nonetheless, these players need to stay on their feet, as they have failed to stay on their feet in certain times, and as a result have lost some major chances at driving offense early.
This is a new look line here for the Senators with Matthew Manza, Broussard, and Costello. We're used to seeing Taylor with Broussard and Costello, so something to monitor. Loose in front of the net. Manza trying to poke it home, but it just redirects out past the net. Trying to regroup it now. Shamar Moses will skate it back and begin the rush for the Flyers. It's dumped back in now as they start a line change, and the Sens will look to capitalize. With it now, shot back in by Graves. There was nobody there along the boards to get it back, so the Flyers now will go into a foot race there, and they're able to win it. Puck is in down low now, so they'll skate it around, and both teams with odd man attacks early, but just unable to capitalize. Taken down there was Ethan Broussard as he lost an edge, but nonetheless, Matthew Manza just from the slot couldn't settle a bouncing pass. It's a 3-on-1 the other way, going for the shot. Score! Charlie Pantalone has the icebreaker!
And that's an example. Ethan Broussard falling over in his own defensive zone, and who picks it up? It's those Don Mills Flyers dashing in with a three-man unit the other way, sending it cross crease, and it's Charlie Pantalone picking that up in the high slot and just launching it right over the glove side of Jack Ivankovic to put his Don Mills Flyers up 1-0 in this game. What an effort, what a goal off that turnover, and putting the puck in the back of the net for these Flyers.
Ivankovic went out to play it and nearly had a mishap, but was able to get it out, and now it's back the other way. Fighting for that puck there along the boards, and it's sent back in. Trying to regain possession there. It's Trozo jumping in on the rush as the blue liner, and as the forward skate back and help him. But nonetheless, the Flyers regain it as they attempt to exit the defensive zone. The Senators giving them some trouble. It's a long stretch pass the other way, and it will be deemed an icing.
And so now we'll go back to the offensive zone here of these Mississauga Senators that certainly have not had a start to the game that they've come to expect from themselves. As mentioned earlier, they're coming into this game on a 9-game winning streak and have been one of the most dangerous offensive teams in terms of the goals for department all season long, but their offensive pieces haven't really been able to generate much sustained offensive zone pressure, and as a result, it's their opposition, the Don Mills Flyers, that's been the team to get on the board first. They certainly need to pick up their play here in the remaining half of this game.
They battle for it along the boards there once again. Trying to regain it now. As it's stuck there, and finally they do in the Flyers really showcasing their size and speed at this moment, making it difficult for these Senators to regain puck. Big hit along the red line, and the whistle will blow.
And the refs are speedy quick to blow their whistle there after that absolute clobbering in the neutral zone there laid by these Don Mills Flyers, just trucking their opposition. And it's no surprise that I believe we will have some visitors to the penalty box, but it doesn't I don't see if anyone has been brought there, so it does appear they'll just blow that play dead and we'll restart with the face-off. But a clobbering in the middle of the ice there laid by those Flyers.
We certainly have to wonder what the whistle was for then, but nonetheless, we remain at 5v5 with just under 9 minutes to play in the opening period. Getting the puck now is Luca Bonomo, one of the 4 2008-born players on this Senators team. Puck back all the other way. It's played out by Abel Poland with Caden Taylor pressuring Breer Lund, trying to regain possession in front of the net, and they nearly are able to, but Don Mills is able to recover. Skating it just past the red line there. It's a bouncing puck. Bonomo just falling short. It's a turnover the other way in front, and Bonomo able to cover up for his mistakes, but Don Mills is able to regain possession. The shot attempt there just falls short, and the Sens are able to recover. Certainly a teaching experience there for number 3, Luca Bonomo.
Absolutely, just turning over that puck there right in front of his own net. And for these Mississauga Senators, they just continuously are failing to maintain this puck possession, constantly turning over the puck to the Don Mills Flyers. And this is something they're really going to be looking to clean up as the remaining part of this game gets onward. They certainly have not done such a good job at maintaining this puck possession. Hasn't really been an issue that's affected them for a lot of this year, but nonetheless, to start off this playoffs, maybe some pregame jitters here, as early on they really have struggled to hold on to that puck and have turned it over consistently.
Brought back to the point now. It's a shot far range, just falling short and missing the net wide. It's a 3-on-2 now for Don Mills. Going with it there, it's Anderson, and it's gloved down by Ivan Kovic.
And that's just a great save made there by Ivan Kovic. Such a strong goalie with his glove hand, and he just gloves that play down, makes it look easy. And that's part of the reason why he's one of the most highly touted players on this Mississauga Senators team. Just a dominant force in the net, and a big part of the reason why these Mississauga Senators, even despite their sloppy play early, the fact that they are still in this game is largely in part due to the amazing saves made by Mississauga Senators goaltender Jack Ivankovic.
It appears we may have a timeout called on the play now. Both teams will get a talking to. Head coach Stephen Kamegna talking to the Sens, and head coach Daryl Levi talking to the Flyers as we continue once again. You mentioned Ivankovic. He's projected to be the highest drafted goaltender since Ben Gaudreau in 2019, so that'll be an intriguing storyline to follow.
And it's no surprise why. You just see him in the net, so dominant, such a big part in the reason why these Mississauga Senators have been able to be so dominant in the scoreboard. And you see here in these timeouts, it's the Don Mills Flyers having a very quick meeting with their coach, Daryl Levy. It does appear they are going to go back to get some second words in. But for the Mississauga Senators and Stephen Kamegna, they have not left their bench. They still are clearly discussing the lackluster, sloppy play early on in this game. There's more than enough time left for them to get back into this one. They're only down 1-0. But they need to slow things down, get out of their own heads, and clean their play up. They've constantly been turning over this puck, especially in the neutral zone with players falling and bobbling the puck, just things you cannot afford to do in this matchup in a playoff game. So they certainly are going to be looking to clean up their game, and it's no surprise what the message is here from Steve Kamegna.
And for the Senators, what do you want to see them do better in this area? We know they finished third in goals for in terms of the regular season. How can they translate that into game one?
Well, it all starts with getting sustained zone time. Part of the issue with their constant turnovers is the fact that that's killed a lot of their offensive momentum. They've attempted to move the puck around in the offensive zone, but have unfortunately turned it over and lost it. They certainly need to clean up their play, and that will lead to more sustained zone pressure in the offensive zone, and that will allow them to get repetitive chances on Abel Poland, crashing the net, firing shots from all over the offensive zone, and that's the way that their offensive threats are really going to give a test to goaltender Abel Poland of the Don Mills Flyers and find their way on the board. It's no secret that they need to just keep things simple and play a simple game. They certainly have entered this game trying to overcomplicate things, looking for those fancy plays that maybe they were able to get away with in the regular season, but it's playoff time now. You're not going to get away with those cute kind of goals. You need to just play it smart, play it simple, and that's how these Mississauga Senators will be able to get themselves back into this game.
Well, the Sens have now retaken the ice, but will actually head back to the bench once again, repeating what the Flyers did, as both teams taking as much time as needed to reaffirm the message to their players and make sure the execution will be met. And certainly it's going to be fascinating. And let's talk about Don Mills a bit more. What have you liked about their game so far as they lead 1-0?
Well, they've been first to every puck race. They've just been a quick team. They've shown up. They've recognized how good their opponent is. And they certainly have played like a more eager team early on in this game. They've won those races of the pucks. They've really peppered shots on Ivan Kovic. They've recognized the competition in that net and have made his night a lot more difficult than the Sens have made Abel Poland's night, as they just continuously are firing pucks. And whenever the Mississauga Senators make a mistake, it's the Don Mills Flyers that are right there to pick up the scraps and go down the ice to generate some offensive chances. That's exactly how they scored their first goal, and even beyond that, that's exactly how they've gotten a lot of their offensive chances, is just by picking up those turnovers in the neutral zone and going down the ice, bolting in, and firing chances on Ivankovic. And that's just because they're such an opportunistic team. That's what they need to continue doing in this game. They've only gotten on the board once, and they know the offensive talent on the Mississauga Senators, so they definitely need to be looking, and their mission is to get another one on the board and certainly make this a tougher lead for the Sens to get back into.
Dylan Teixeira and Shamar Moses are two of the most known players on this Don Mills team, but it's been Max Anderson that's caught your eye.
Absolutely. Max Anderson, just such a slick player when he has the puck. So good at moving through the offensive zone, getting through whatever defenders are in his way. An absolute dynamo in the offensive zone. Somewhat on the undersized size, but when you're watching him in the offensive zone, you just simply wouldn't know it because of his ability to maintain that puck possession. And it's not necessarily through his body checking that he's able to maintain that puck possession. It's just through his offensive skills, his offensive gifts as he works his way through creatively the offensive zone, finds open space for himself, and then just fires those shots in on net. A really crafty player here that has certainly got the memo that it is playoff time and he's looking to start off a show here for these Don Mills Flyers.
Well, for the Sens, I think what's also important is getting their blue line activated into the rush more. They can't be scared to generate offense. They just have to play the game they've been playing all season. I think about number 2, William Muzinski, who is an 07 born player from Barrie, Ontario, who can really move the puck, is not afraid to be a volume shooter, but can really make those cross-seam passes as well, especially to the likes of a Caden Taylor for that one-time threat. I want to see more of him involved in this game, and I do think this is so close. This is what the playoffs are all about, as we finally see both teams retake the ice as we'll resume Game 1.
And as you mentioned, it's the defenders of these Mississauga Senators that certainly need to be more active. I look at that play by Luca Bonomo trying to carry that puck out of the defensive zone and just turning it over right in front of the net. It just all goes down to that message that the Mississauga Senators need to clean up their game. So let's see what they can do here.
Loose in front of the net, there's a rebounded foot, and it just kicked wide by Ivan Kovic, but Don Mills prevails. Brought back in once again. Anzi Show trying to pass that over to his partner, but it just falls loose. And PJ Fagan couldn't hold it in the zone. But nonetheless, a diving effort there to get the puck out by Anzi Show. And nonetheless, they are able to return it once again. Don Mills really benefiting from that timeout. A shot from Moses through traffic. Just unable to get that one on net, but nonetheless, they hold the zone. Sens trying to get it out, but it's another turnover generated along the boards. But finally, Mississauga will clear as they get a couple of line changes, and now they'll get the full one.
And the Mississauga Senators very fortunate that the Don Mills Flyers skated just offside, because it's the Don Mills Flyers continuing their opportunistic nature and picking off whatever turnovers the Mississauga Senators give them. And as per that first shift since the timeout, it appears that the Mississauga Senators just did not retain that message as they continuously turn the puck over on that shift. They have a lot to prove here as we get underway after this timeout.
And Luca Bonomo is back on the ice. I'll be curious to see what his response shift is like after what occurred on that last sequence that led to the goal. Nonetheless, though, he's out there with the Caden Taylor line, and he'll have to skate back once again in transition able to get to that. The Flyers in front! And great work there. Ivan Kovic poke checks it out from the Don Mills attacker. As it's brought back up once again, the Flyers holding the zone as they continue to gain the offensive zone forecheck. With it there is Thomas Hartnett trying to send a cross-seam pass in front, but just wasn't able to get that through. All the way at the other end now, Caden Taylor trying to get the stick lift, and they're able to hold the zone. Here's Breer Lung in front of the net, but nobody there to help him. As now Don Mills will start the line change, and icing will be called.
And once again, the Mississauga Senators did get some chances there on Abel Poland, but with no one in there to continue that offensive zone pressure, the puck just ringed around the boards and went way down for an icing play. So it's the Mississauga Senators still struggling to maintain that offensive zone time, but they do get an offensive zone pressure face-off here, so let's see what they can generate.
That far-range shot just went wide in the net now as Don Mills takes it up past the red line. Skating with speed as Max Anderson, some nifty work trying to send that over to the defenseman, but just wasn't able to get that through. Nonetheless, they look to regroup now. They hold it in off the half wall. It's a shot in front, taken down, and a penalty will be drawn as Don Mills heads to the man advantage.
And this will be a big-time power play for these Don Mills Flyers in hopes of extending their lead. But someone that we have highlighted earlier in this game, a really creative player in Max Anderson, just got caught there with the attempt at a no-look behind-the-back pass in the offensive zone. But it was picked off by those Mississauga Senators, something you just can't afford at this point in the game. You can't give the Mississauga Senators turnovers on their own because they are more than enough dangerous. They're more than dangerous enough to generate offense off those plays.
Let's see what Don Mills can cook up on this power play. Sending it over to Medopoulos now. He'll send it back past just too far, and the Sens will attack on the shorthanded sequence. So they'll have to bring it all the way back now. And it just shows that one errant pass can really mess up a power play that's supposed to be an advantage. And it's brought back once again. Great work there on the PK. It's defenseman Jaden Connors skating it up. Was able to generate the turnover and kill off some time as they send it all the way back down the opposite end of the ice. And they really got the message. Had to be careful there. Abel Poland almost coughing it up right in front of the blue paints.
Very fortunate that there wasn't a Mississauga Senator there just waiting to put that puck in the net, because that was a very dangerous look by Abel Poland in the net, just skating out of his net and almost turning it over.
And this has been a masterclass on how to penalty kill as Ethan Broussard gets it. Trying to take a odd angle shot, and it'll be gloved down by Poland.
And as much as that was a great save made by Abel Poland at the side of the net, that inopportune shot from the side of the net by Ethan Broussard just allowed an offensive zone faceoff now to be generated here. So on the penalty kill, it's the Senators that have easily been the most dangerous team offensively, and maybe getting that penalty was the wake-up call that these Mississauga Senators so desperately needed.
Trying to get to that now is Dianoff. Dianoff will circle it back over to the stick of Manza there. Ryder Graves will retrieve it, and they'll send it over to Gabriel Trozo. Trozo will just dump it in once again with Manza for checking after it. Anzi Show now will circle back as he'll try to begin the rush and get that controlled zone entry for these Flyers, and they finally do. All the way there, they'll take a lap around the net, surveying his options. Sending that back over to Anzi Show as it's in down low. Battling for it once again. It's over to Anderson now as they battle for it with two players. It's a loose in front of the nets, and Ivan Kovic is able to body it down.
And Ivan Kovic has to come up huge there as he jumps into that puck and gets on his knees in order to make that big-time save. But that's Mississauga Senators goaltender Ivan Kovic saving the day after the Don Mills Flyers wake up on this power play and get a drive in the final dying moments of their man advantage chance.
Will be one last offensive zone face-off for these Flyers on the power play. Able to hold the line was some nifty work there by the defenseman, but nonetheless diving effort to keep it in, but they cannot prevail. The Sens are able to kill it off. Held in there by Ethan Broussard as he battles forward once again. Bodied off the puck there was Justin Fernandez jumping in as the defenseman. And the Flyers now will be bodied at the red line, sending a message, are these Senators.
A massive hit in the neutral zone there, laid by the Mississauga Senators. And after killing off that penalty, surely generating momentum, it's the Senators in on the attack.
It's a 3-on-2 the other way. Rebound in front. And there'll be some messages post-whistle, but Abel Poland is able to make the stop.
And that absolutely is the biggest save that Abel Poland has had to make tonight, as those Mississauga Senators skated in on that 3-man attack, almost like a herd of ducks there, as they skated in with that flying V, getting into the shot and just launching it on Abel Poland was those Mississauga Senators, and Poland had to jump into that shot to make that save.
And there was a shot from just outside the slot from Caden Taylor in a dangerous area. This top line starting to generate some looks.
And Caden Taylor, number 96, a player lining up just behind the faceoff dot. He usually is the centerman on those faceoffs.
Valentini in front, just can't get that pass through, as there was some open net to work with. But nonetheless, they'll turn it back the other way, just over the stick of Valentini, and Don Mills sending it in once again. Battling for that puck, just wasn't able to protect it enough. And it'll be brought back just past the red line and off the boards. Taylor will settle it down and skate it in himself. Into the neutral zone now. He'll try to dump that in. Valentini can't settle it down, so Don Mills on the counter attack. We'll send it in. Off the boards, are able to get his own rebound. The wraparound chance! Ivan Kovic comes up huge!
And almost a gorgeous wraparound goal with speed for the Don Mills Flyers. And how did he maintain his puck and stick possession on that, just wrapping around with so much speed, and somehow gets that shot off? But it's Ivan Kovic just hugging the post and making that major save in order to keep his team at the very least within this game and only down by 1.
Don Mills now in the offensive zone. Aren't able to maintain possession as it's brought back the other way. Here's Matthew Manza trying to get that through. Back in front for Dianov. Dianov in front of the net. It's still poked out and they score! Ryan Days in front of the net has tied it!
You get in front of the net and good things happen. Just launching that puck right in front of the net. It was the Mississauga Senators, and Ryan Days right in front picked it up and jammed at it right through the 5-hole of Abel Poland to knot this thing up. 1-1.
1:52 remain in this first period, and certainly this is what the playoffs are all about. Ups and downs on both sides, but yet we remain tied.
And it was after killing that major penalty against, these Mississauga Senators have woken up. They've gotten the memo that there's a playoff game underway, and they have not slowed down.
Back the other way, another chance just off the blocker of Poland. Sens now capitalizing on the momentum as they're in the offensive zone, battling for it. Don Mills is able to come up with the puck as we see some extra shoves. And now they try to get it through once again. Trying to turnstile the player there was Max Anderson, but wasn't able to get that through. Body sprawling on the ice, and the whistle will blow.
And this play now underway, so we're going to get a face-off in the neutral zone in the last about minute and a half of this first starting period, and both sides have gotten a lot of momentum. Obviously, it was the Don Mills Flyers that started off hot, but ever since that goals against that major penalty kill, it was the Mississauga Senators who have been the team that's taken action, and they'll need to come up big on the penalty kill with another power play for these Don Mills Flyers. Let's see what they can do here.
Now this is the glorious opportunity the Flyers may just need. Here's Medopoulos now trying to send that back in the slot, and he isn't able to get it through. It's a shorthanded 2-on-0. Caden Taylor scores! Caden Taylor shorthanded 2-1 Senators.
Caden Taylor shorthanded breakaway launches it right over Abel Poland on that breakaway to put his team up 2-1 with 2 goals in quick succession, and that is Caden Taylor with the major goal, and that's what a star player needs to do in this situation, and he does exactly that to put his team up by 1.
And the Flyers will remain on the power play. And once again, it's an errant pass at that blue line that leads to a shorthanded chance against, and this time the Senators were able to capitalize.
And both teams already have fallen victim to that turnover in the neutral zone, and both sides have been able to capitalize on those turnovers the other way. But for the Don Mills Flyers, with the man advantage, you just cannot afford a turnover like that.
At the blue line there, it's Jared Harding trying to get that crossing pass over, but unable to do so. Taken down hard. There was Gabriel Trozo on the board, but just bounces right back up. And able to hold the zone. Once again, it's a 2-on-1 now for the Senators. Trying to get that through. It's a shot in front, trying to find Breer Long. Just unable to do so, and the whistle will blow once again.
And so we're going to get a face-off here in the offensive zone for the short-handed Mississauga Senators. Or at least I thought we're gonna get a face-off rather right directly outside of the zone, as it does appear that the Don Mills Flyers will join the parade to the penalty box, as we're going to get some 4-on-4 action to end off this first period.
And things cannot get worse to end the period for Don Mills. They're just going to have to try to do their best just to survive here on 4-on-4, perhaps try to score. They still have time left, but just escape this period not being down by 2.
Absolutely. You cannot afford one of those last-minute backbreaker goals. They already gave up a late one that's going to put them down by 1. But this is what they want to go into the period with.
It's a 3-on-1 the other way. What a play to generate the takeaway, and it's a 2-on-1. Valentini puts it on net. And that will do it for period 1 of game 1 between the Don Mills Flyers and the Mississauga Senators, with the Sens leading 2-1 over the Flyers.
And in the dying minute of that first period, it was Adam Valentini and Caden Taylor on that 2-on-1, and Valentini just slightly missed that pass. If he connected on that pass and Caden Taylor went in on that breakaway, who knows what score we're going into this second period with. But nonetheless, he can't connect that pass, and the Don Mills Flyers very fortunate to go to first period intermission only down by 1 with the way they played that final about 5 minutes of this first period. They took all the momentum they generated early and just flushed that right down the drain.
Now, it certainly seemed like after that extended timeout, the Senators were able to regroup just a few minutes after that, and they really found their game for the rest of the period.
Well, it certainly took some time. We saw that first shift directly after that timeout, where it took the Mississauga Senators still a little bit to get underway in this game, get themselves warmed up, get themselves acclimated to the newfound messages sent by head coach Stephen Kamegna, as they still had a few turnovers in that first shift directly after the timeout. But since then, they've been impeccable. They absolutely have played like the Mississauga Senators we've come to expect. Everyone got the memo and picked up their game, and let's see if they can continue that heading into this second period as we're now down underway.
Flyers have possession now. We remain at 4-on-4 for the time being, as this Sens player prepares to get out of the box, as they'll head to the power play. Into the corner now. It's a foot race down low, trying to come up with it there, and they nearly do, but nonetheless Matthew Manta will recoup it out, and it's sent all the way back to the other end, as Mississauga will be on the power play. And Don Mills with possession now. They'll just wait it out and send it all the way down to the other end, and Ivan Kovic will elect to play it himself. Will send a pass up the neutral zone, and Mans is able to recover. All the way at the other end, here's Caden Taylor! Far side shot, rebound! And that just misses the net.
And Caden Taylor, such a dynamic offensive piece, picks up that puck at the side of the net, and rather than looking for a pass, just elects to launch it right on Abel Polan.
Loose in front! And they just missed the net once again. Grade A chance for Don Mills.
But it's the Senators back up on the attack as they lose it in the neutral zone.
Here is Shamar Moses now with the shot off the blocker of Ivan Kovic and sent back the other way, trying to keep it in. And it looks like they're able to do so. Loose in front of the net, Moses! Stopped by Ivan Kovic!
How does he get back there and make that save? What do you say, Ivan Kovic? As it's the Don Mills Flyers looping back to look for a new attack and get some potential fresh bodies on the ice as they dump that puck down. But what a save by Ivan Kovic.
A shit for the ages for number 78, Shamar Moses. He'll dance around, trying to get in through, in front of the net in the pass! Stopped once again! Oh, did you see that? Jack Ivan Kovic.
That was unbelievable, and let's see if the Mississauga Senators can generate some offense off it, but then it's the Don Mills Flyers back in alone, and they just can't beat the icing. But what do you say about Ivan Kovic? There just is nothing you could say. Sensational on that 2-on-1, comes across the crease and just robs him with that massive pad save.
You have to think the scouts in the arena are noticing those plays in sequence.
Well, heading into this game, and especially during this game, it's number 72 that's on everybody in this building's radar there. You can't ignore the amazing play in net by Jack Ivankovic. And these kind of plays in clutch situations are exactly why he's a goalie so highly touted to be a potential first-round pick.
Don Mills looking to regroup, and it's a huge hit in the corner as a Sens player was taken down, and the physicality continuing to elevate as this game progresses. Back the other way now, it's taken in by Costello. He'll send it in on the boards. No forechecker, and it's brought back out by Don Mills. Ryder Grace will activate in as the blue line to get that in, and now he'll have to get back. Potential 3-on-2 the other way. Don Mills trying to send it in front. Stopped once again by Ivankovic.
The Don Mills Flyers have been flying high at the start of this second period, but they just can't beat the man in the net. Number 72, Jack Ivankovic, who's been unbelievable at stopping whatever threats and attacks the Don Mills Flyers lay on him. Skating in alone, skating in as a unit, it doesn't matter for Jack Ivankovic, who's just been too good in this game.
The Adam Smeaton line taking the offensive zone draw, and it's a turnover the other way, 2-on-1. Matthew Manza pass over in front, and it just stopped by Aiden Poland. Continuing the...
It almost appeared like those Mississauga Senators looped back looking for that additional shot, seeing if they could get a better lane. But unfortunately, they just lost it in that offensive zone there. So it's going to be the Don Mills Flyers back in on the attack.
And here they are on the entry, trying to send that pass through in front. Unable to get the redirect attempt. And now we have a 4-on-2 the other way, led by Manza. It's a cross-seam pass over in front, just unable to reach the net. Hits Manza down low now, poking away at it, and Don Mills is able to survive.
As the play is in the neutral zone, as there is a battle for it, it is won back by the Don Mills Flyers, who bolt in with speed, looking for open teammates and trying to find another way to test Ivankovic as they lose it.
It's a 3-on-1 once again. Tic-tac-toe in front. It's a backhand attempt. And Poland comes up huge.
What a save there by Poland, but it was Angelo Maggioni that just looked at Poland to try to get that shot off and elected to spin around and try to catch him off guard with that low backhand shot at the side of the net, seeing what he could do to beat Abel Poland, and a great thought there by Angelo Maggioni, but it just isn't able to squeak through those pads of Abel Poland.
It will be an offensive zone draw now for the Ethan Broussard trio as they come up with it. And it's in the corner now as they poke away at it. And Don Mills is able to send it up the ice in transition. Max Anderson into the corner now, was bodied off it, but is able to gain that rebound. Down low. Once again, Ivankovic had to sprawl for that save, but was able to come up with it. Don Mills keeps it in the offensive zone. It's a far-range shot on net, glove down by Ivankovic.
And already in this second period, you're seeing just how part of the attack for the Don Mills Flyers their speed is. They're a team that, regardless where they finished in the regular season this year, their system year after year always prioritizes speed, ever since way back to the early days that have produced some amazing NHL talents. They're a speedy team, they always have been, and their speed right now in this second period has simply swarmed these Mississauga Senators, but fortunately the Don Mills Flyers haven't been able to put that puck past Ivankovic.
Kyle Butt sends that back to the blue line for Jared Harding. He'll send it all the way around. It's down low now with it. Butt going after. Just unable to prevail on that attempt. It's Dianov now just past the red line. Is able to dump it in the other way. It was played out there by NZ Show as Don Mills really looking to get some more plays off the rush. And for the Senators, they had 3 consecutive odd man attacks and just weren't able to capitalize. Is that going to potentially be a turning point in this game?
Absolutely. You have to think if they can't produce any offense on these big-time attacks, it'll be the Don Mills Flyers that are able to pick off those plays and generate momentum for themselves back the other way. They certainly need to find a way to produce offense on the chances that they do have and prevent the opportunities for their opposition on the other way.
The puck was dumped in by Jaden Connors, and there was some traffic in front of Abel Poland, so he had to be careful, but luckily was able to glove it down through traffic.
Well, that's a great play that just shows you how the Mississauga Senators really attack from the defensive core onwards. Jaden Connors, number 7 of these Mississauga Senators, is a great offensive-minded defender who simply drives the offense whenever he's out there on the ice. Is a great power play quarterback, but even at even strength, just such a good defensive-minded and offensive-minded defender who really takes that puck and uses his abilities to find opposing teammates and just help them generate offense. A really good player there for these Mississauga Senators in the back end.
Off the face-offs, it's the Flyers able to come up with it. Now it's sent into the corner. Battling after it, there's Charlie Pantalone, and it's picked up the other way by Lagana. Now the Sens now will break it in on a 2-on-2. It's long now. We'll start the rush, handing it back to Manza for the shot, just missing wide. And Poland had to get back and hug the post. Manza, they're able to keep it in as Valentini will get to it. Here's Adam Valentini now in the corner. Will skate off the hit attempt and showcases some of his edge. We're brought back in front and just trying to find Manza with it. It's a potential 2-on-1 break the other way, but broken up nicely by Mississauga.
And it's going to be these Senators going back up the other way, but they can't get their stick on it, so it'll be back down the other way as Don Mills is beating that race to the puck.
And it's now brought back into the neutral zone. Shamar Moses on the ice trying to settle it down. Wasn't able to do so, but they'll begin the rush once again. Taken in there by the Sens as it's off the half wall. A bit of shoving there post play. But nonetheless, they'll continue. It's Sean Costello now trying to gain that inside position. He will circle back into the slot and wasn't able to get to it. It's a foot race now the other way for the Flyers. It's a 3-on-2. Stopped by Ivankovic as a rebound once again, but it's cleared out by the Sens.
That was a scary attack made by the Don Mills Flyers coming in with speed, but it's Ivankovic who just stays calm.
Ethan Broussard looking for a tripping call on that play, but will not get it. And now it could be another odd man attack. 4-on-2 and in front! And just unable to get that shot on goal were the Flyers. I don't think they realized that they had 4 bodies on 2 Senators players. And nonetheless, now it's a breakaway chance the other way for Zed! Scores! Nope, there is no goal rather. It will be a save for Don Mills.
Well, that was certainly a dangerous look. I don't blame you there, Jordan, for thinking that one went in, because with Caden Taylor in on the breakaway, it just seems like second nature to assume that one's going to end up in the back of the net. Such a dangerous offensive piece, but it's Abel Poland we got to give a little more credit to, because he comes up with that big-time major save on that breakaway for Caden Taylor.
It's Abel Poland just able to go right up to the edge of the crease and make that stop, go into the butterfly position. He's been on his game tonight.
Absolutely. There's no denying it. A big part in the reason why these Don Mills Flyers are not out of this game by any stretch of the imagination. If they get the great goaltending of Abel Poland to maintain for the remainder of this game, they have more than enough weapons to score one, get themselves to tie this thing, and go from there.
And the Senators now nearly generating another turnover to send all the way back, and icing will be called against the Flyers.
And finally, it's the Mississauga Senators returning to this offensive zone and getting an offensive zone face-off. And this will be a big chance for them to continue to pepper shots on Abel Poland and hopefully find themselves with a 3-1 lead. They've been peppering shots on Poland, but just have not been able to beat him in this second period.
It's the Rafek Dianov line out there for the offensive zone face-off. And it's a quick shot off the face-off attempt! And that had to be careful there, but nonetheless, it looks like it redirected out of play, but nice work there by the Dianov line.
Well, I don't know how Abel Poland even got back from that. That's sometimes the goals that catch a goaltender off guard most. Right off the face-off from an inopportune area of the ice, just sending in a rocket from the side of the net, and sometimes one will just squeak by. But even though that one did squeak by Poland initially, he was just able to jump back and make the save.
They score! That one worked! And it's Caden Taylor doubling down, making it 3-1 Mississauga.
Well, Caden Taylor was stopped on the breakaway moments ago, but if you don't score once, you gotta try again. And Caden Taylor does exactly that right off the face-off and finally finds a way to beat Abel Poland for his second of the night to put his Mississauga Senators up 3-1 to really cap off what was otherwise a not so great period, but all that matters is they now have the 2-goal lead.
And limited time remaining here in this second period now, with the Flyers suddenly needing to come back by 2. And it'll be Mississauga here. Matthew Manset going after it, but Jared Harding, showcasing some strong edges, is able to get that out as it's in the neutral zone now. With the puck there the other way, sending it on goal. Just falling short in that play. It's in front of the net there. Going after it was Charlie Pantalone, but wasn't able to poke it home. It's a chance, though, from the slot. Bodies in front of the net, and Ivan Kovic gloves it down.
And he just comes up with that major save. It's Jack Ivankovic that's just so good in traffic at redirecting those pucks on net. Just moves his body so seamlessly to move those pucks way out of that danger area in front of the net. He uses his stick to poke check. He uses his pads to slide across and kick the puck out of his way. Just a really mobile, active goaltender. And part of the reason why he is such a great goalie in this game and in this GTHL all season long.
Don Mills looking for that offensive spark as we have 6:30 remaining in this second period. Here's Shamar Moses now with the shot, just unable to get that through, but picks it up once again. Will send it in to Sarah Glue. Sarah Glue will wrap it around the boards as they battle away for it. Bodies falling down low, but trying to come up with it now. It's Gabriel Trozo, the defensive-minded blue liner for this Sen squad. It's a 3-on-2 now the other way in front of the net, trying to feed that to Costello as he would have been left alone. But nonetheless, now it's Manza picking it up off the half wall. Will send it around the boards there, and Don Mills gets to it first. As they look to clear the zone, get back on the positive end, and looks like they'll be able to do so, trying to feed that through, and just unable to find the stick of Max Anderson, or he could have had a breakaway. Nonetheless, though, it battle along the red line there, and it's Don Mills now with a 2-on-1 the other way, holding on to it, and will circle back, electing not to shoot on that attempt. But nifty work there in front, stopped once again by Jack Ivankovic.
And right after getting that shot off on Ivankovic, it's the Mississauga Senators sending a major cross-check to the back of the Don Mills Flyers. It doesn't appear that we are going to have a call off of that, but nonetheless, the Mississauga Senators not letting anyone get in close to their net there, testing Ivankovic, and that has just made it so the front of the net has been a tough area to get to in front of Ivankovic. These Mississauga Senators don't mess around when it comes to the front of Jack Ivankovic.
And there's a puck sent back, unable to clear the zone were the Sens, but they do right here. Here's Caden Taylor with a burst of speed, looking for the hat trick and just falling short. But nonetheless now, and the Flyers are able to regain possession as they pass the red line. Unable to enter the zone though, as a tight gap control, but they finally do. Chance in front, off the shoulder of Ivankovic and out. Sens now unable to clear the zone. Once again, Don Mills really putting on the pressure. It's Jaden Connors nearly with a recipient of a hit up high, but was able to dodge it last second, as we'll get an icing called on the play.
And so we're going to get some action heading over into the Don Mills Flyers' own defensive zone, and the Mississauga Senators are getting fresh bodies on the ice, looking to extend this lead even farther. For the Don Mills Flyers, in their mission earlier in the offensive zone, we saw something very interesting where they're starting to hesitate a little bit more to send shots on Jack Ivankovic, almost taking the wrong message from the great play of Ivankovic. Rather than thinking they need to continue to pepper shots as one's going to squeak through, they're almost looking for that perfect shot, and that's just something you cannot afford to do when a goalie's playing this hot, as you're not always going to get those perfect shots. You need to fire what you're given. That's something that the Don Mills Flyers are somewhat hesitating to do.
And trying to get that through, they do on his knees. It was Taylor bringing that back around. With it there now, as they bring it back. Nice work there to keep it in the zone, and it was a shot from Ryder Graves, putting it on net. And it was stopped by Poland.
Abel Poland continuing his great play and at least keeping this score into arm's reach for the Don Mills Flyers, who have been good. They certainly have been a team that's been very busy in the offensive zone throughout this second period especially, and even for brief flashes in the first period. They have looked dangerous, certainly playing, I'd argue, above their heads compared to the regular season standing, but nonetheless, it's the Mississauga Senators that have taken a 3-1 lead in this game, and they can't afford it getting any farther as players knocked to their knees there.
Sean Costello laying the body as he's known to do. And Ethan Broussard has it now. Back over to Costello, trying to get that shot through on his knees. And he just falls short on that attempt. Brought back the other way now by Don Mills. Picking it up in transition as the battle for it now and down low. Trozo will support for the Sens as bodies fly on the ice. Cheers can be heard from the crowd as the action really starts to ramp up. Along the boards now, the Flyers looking to keep it in. And some good work there defensively as they're able to clear it now. And Ethan Broussard will spring it in transition. Here is Broussard, unable to settle that bouncing puck, but he'll bring it in deep now in front of the net. It's Muzinski jumping in. Willie Muzinski with the far side shot in front of the net. And how could Ethan Broussard not score? But nonetheless, we remain at 3-1.
William Muzinski doing such a good job at redirecting his body in order to make sure that puck gets on the net and to the stick of his other teammates there right in front of the net. Just such a strong offensive-minded defender. Picks up that puck with his body angled towards the blue line. You think he's going to pass it there, but he quickly shifts his body over to get that major shot onto Abel Polan, catching him off guard, and that allows the secondary rebound to be generated for these Mississauga Senators, and that all starts from the great play at the blue line by number 2, William Muzinski.
And that icing was called because of the sustained zone time in the offensive end for Mississauga as they bring it back. Shot from the point there, just redirected wide, but are able to maintain possession. It was Anton Kuzmikev just falling short on that attempt. Nice lifty work there. Trying to throw it out in front of the net was Don Mills, but wasn't able to get what they wanted. Here's Caden Taylor now sending it in for Breer long in front. Tried to go for the dangle, but couldn't execute it off. Here's Taylor now picking up the bouncing puck, falling on his knees. But nonetheless, they're able to keep it in play. The Flyers now along the boards will send it around as they look to begin the rush. Had to be careful there. Taylor with some aggressive forechecking, nearly knocking them off the puck. It's a far side shot from Adam Smeaton at the blue line, will be gloved down by Ivan Kovic.
And all that does is generate an offensive zone face-off for the Don Mills Flyers, allowing their mission on Jack Ivankovic to at least claw their way back into this game before the end of this second period. If they could afford to get one goal here and get to within one before the end of this second period, that would be major for their chances at getting back into this game in the third period. If they could get into this third only down by a goal, their chances of coming back are sky high for the Don Mills Flyers.
It's a battle for it there, and Don Mills is able to pick it up. It was a bouncing puck once again. Here's Moses with the shot, unable to get that through once again. Some nifty work there by Pantalone as he was able to keep it in play. And they'll send it back in for Anderson. Anderson down for Anzi Show with the far side shot. There's a rebound in front of the net. Body's flying. But Ivankovic gloves it down.
Part of the reason why Jack Ivankovic has been so strong, not only just in this game, but all season long, is his ability to stop rebounds and prevent rebound chances, and that's exactly what he did right there on that play. It was the Don Mills Flyers sending a seemingly simple shot from the point, but it's very evident that their mission was to generate a rebound, given that they had multiple bodies angled in front of the net there, ready to whack home a rebound. But it's the ability of Jack Ivankovic to just shut that play down exactly when the puck hits his pads, preventing that rebound chance and just gloving that play down.
It's a 3-on-2 the other way now. With it there was Long with the shot. Or rather, it's Ryan Days with it down low. Days will turnstile his partner there as it was a shot from the one-time position, just falling short there as it was bodied down by Poland.
And Abel Poland also showing why he's so effective at making those saves at quick chances from the Mississauga Senators. They didn't even set up on that chance. They blasted in a one-timer from in close at the side of the net, but it's Abel Poland's quick ability to move and be mobile that allowed him to get right in front of that shot and make what otherwise would have been a difficult save look very simple.
Ethan Broussard down low in front. Costello can't bang it in. And Don Mills now looking to capitalize on that break as Costello had a wide open net but wasn't able to bang it home. Nonetheless, now it's brought back just past the red line with just over a minute remaining in this second period. Senators leading 3-1. Skating it through there was Smeaton. Smeaton in front of the net, trying to get that loose puck in front, but forced to skate it into the corner. Body slam! It's a double hit by the Sens along the boards, and the crowd can be heard as the physicality continuing to ramp up. 2-on-1 the other way now for Mississauga. Here is Broussard! And what a stop! Bouncy puck once again! This is unbelievable!
And that puck bouncing right over the head of Abel Poland, and he's fortunate to make this save. Before these Mississauga Senators, and rather the Don Mills Flyers, they are falling exactly into the trap of the Mississauga Senators in letting the Don Mills Flyers get carried away with the extracurricular activity that the Senators are generating. The Senators right in front of the Don Mills Flyers bench pushed a Don Mill Flyer directly into his own bench, and that caused an immediate reaction. But rather, they are going to have some players going into the penalty box. But it's the Don Mills Flyers who allowed themselves on that play to get very distracted by the activity of the Mississauga Senators. And that thus allowed for the Mississauga Senators to generate a 2-on-1 chance, a major opportunity. And now it's the Don Mills Flyers in their hopes of retaliation that now totally fall into that play of the Mississauga Senators and have to spend some time shorthanded.
With it, there is Trozo now trying to feed it back to Taylor, but just missed it when was forced to turn it back in, but unable to hold it at the blue line, so they'll be forced back. With it there now the other way, Valentini will cut through the middle, and nearly was able to complete the dangle. But nonetheless, now they'll battle forward. It's Dianoff helping out his partner, as Taylor will jump in as well. Taylor in front of the net, trying to feed it for the defenseman Trozo, who's jumped in front of the net, taken down hard. And that will do it through 30 minutes of action. The Mississauga Senators leading 3-1 over the Don Mills Flyers.
This game went from quiet in the physical end to extremely noisy in that last minute and a half there, as there was bodies flying on both ways. It's the Don Mills Flyers who are entering this third period shorthanded, as the Mississauga Senators allowed them to get a little preoccupied with their extracurricular activities as they cruise a 3-1 lead at the end of the second period.
Well, make sure to stay tuned for this exciting finish of this matchup from Paramount Fine Foods Center. For Jared Rotenberg, I'm Jordan Jacklin, and stay tuned on the 6 Hockey. Welcome back from the Paramount Fine Foods Center. I'm Jordan Jacklin, joined alongside Jared Rotenberg as we get set to conclude this matchup of Game 1 between the Don Mills Flyers and the Mississauga Senators. What have you liked so far about this Sens team? They were down 1-0 originally, and they've been able to crawl their way up and score 3 consecutive goals.
Well, these Mississauga Senators have been very resilient in this game. They started off this game early in the first period with an ugly start, something that's been very rare for the Mississauga Senators, but rather than crawling themselves in a hole and saying, woe is me, they had a quick meeting at their bench with head coach Stephen Kamegna. It was very evident what the mission is. They got to clean up their game. They got to shut down all these turnovers against. They did exactly that, and shortly after, they were able to crawl their way up to a big-time lead, up 3-1. They certainly have cleaned up their game, and that's allowed them to generate offense on the scoreboard.
And we are at center ice now, as the puck is dropped, and we're underway from the third period. The Flyers winning it back as they'll send it in once again. Coming out to play it there was Ivan Kovic, elected not to, as his blue liner was able to get to it. It's Gabriel Trozo. Send it over to his partner there. Will send the cross-seam pass the other way. He was Broussard with it. Broussard didn't like his options, almost had it taken off him, but to keep it in. Still on the power play are these Senators. Sending it back now. It's a shot through traffic in front, and Costello can't bang home the rebound. I'll turn it around there. Breer Lung will go after it. And the Flyers are able to poke it out into the neutral zone, and the Target penalty killers can get off the ice. With it now the other way is Dianov. Perfect Dianov trying to send it into Caden Taylor. It was an errant pass, and it'll be called icing on the play.
And so we're going to get play back down in the other end for these Don Mills Flyers in the last 40 seconds of their penalty kill mission. And for the Mississauga Senators, their goal here is to pick up this puck, take it out of their defensive zone, and drive some offense for the last 40 seconds of this major power play. They want to get a lead as quickly as possible in this third period. They don't want any chance of giving up this 3-1 lead, and as a result, they need to continue playing with their pedal on the metal.
With it now are the Senators behind their net, surveying their options. With it there above the red line, it's Ethan Broussard now with a burst of speed. Just sends it along the boards there. Matthew Manza elects not to play it, and Ryder Graves at the blue line will hold the zone. Here is Manza now, trying to walk the blue line there, and it's back to Trozo. With it there is Broussard, trying to feed it in front to Manza, but wasn't able to settle the puck down. Puck finds the stick of Matthew Manza. Hold us, send it on net. There's a rebound in front. And loose to Trozo! And just can't get it on net as the defenseman activated into the attack. Body back on the ice now for the Flyers as we are in 5-on-5 once again. Flyers now in their own end will take it out. And it's poked home there by Kyle Butts as he'll skate off the ice. Sens now will have to be careful. There was a Flyers player falling into the boards, but was able to recover. And now another potential 2-on-1. The other way in front for Taylor! And that pass just failing to connect with 96. On the half wall now, they battle for it. And the Flyers unable to hold the zone. It was Taylor with it, keeping it in play. And it's gloved down by Poland.
Caden Taylor, the keep-in machine. There was 2 moments on that play there with the Don Mills Flyers skating the puck, trying to take it right out of that offensive zone for the Mississauga Senators. Take it over the blue line. For starters, Caden Taylor whacks that puck in order to keep it into the zone. And when the Don Mills Flyers pick it up again, it's Caden Taylor who continuously works his magic to steal the puck once again and send it in deep to generate an offensive zone face-off. That's the play, the two-way ability on full display there by Caden Taylor.
Back the other way now in neutral zone territory. It appears that icing will be called on the play, sending the puck all the way back down to the other end for Mississauga.
And this is where the Mississauga Senators work their best magic, right outside of the offensive zone, as it appears we will have a parade to the penalty box, or rather just skating over to the benches. We're going to get some fresh bodies out there onto the ice here as we take the face-off outside of the offensive zone for the Don Mills Flyers.
It appears it was just an offside call in that sequence. As we get underway once again, it's Muzinski over to his partner, and Trozo up to Costello. Or it's Days rather, with it to Broussard, just failing to connect on that pass. But here's Muzinski jumping up into the attack, trying to feed it back over to Costello. He was taken down, and the Flyers are just trying to recover. Some pushing and shoving behind the play. Jaden Connors will get to it now. It goes off the boards there as Don Mills really struggling to drive the play as Mississauga has been forechecking them hard.
In this third period, it really has been all Mississauga all the time. The Don Mills Flyers struggling to generate much of everything, and that's just due to how strong defensively these Senators have been early on in this period, but as well how dangerous offensively they've been, just not giving the Don Mills Flyers an inch of offensive pressure of their own due to the ability of the Mississauga Senators to just rag that puck around and prevent the Don Mills Flyers from generating anything.
Here is Caden Taylor now with a burst of speed with the shot! And it just went off the pad of Poland and back into the neutral zone. Boy, can Caden Taylor wire it.
Caden Taylor could wire it, but Abel Poland has the fear, or rather does not have that fear, and as a result gets right in front of whatever Caden Taylor is firing his way. That's why he's such a strong goaltender of his own there.
Going back after it now is Anton Kuzmikev. He's able to get it out now over to his partners. They'll Try to get it out, but it's a turnover generated by the Flyers. It's a rebound in front of the net. It's Moses in front. Still it's loose. Poked at it, but it just falls short on that attempt. Great stop once again by Jack Ivankovic. It's a 3-on-2 now. Valentini will circle back in front of the net, just missing the stick of Caden Taylor. And here come the Don Mills Flyers with a burst of speed, just falling short on that attempt. And they keep it in the offensive zone. Trying to glove that down there once again was Ivankovic. Are you watching this?
This is insanity here. It's Jack Ivankovic that just has been putting on a show all night long, and the Mississauga Senators certainly have given him some goal support, but it's the great play of Ivankovic that has just allowed this game to really remain on the side of the Mississauga Senators, because the Don Mills Flyers have had their fair share of chances, but it's Ivankovic that has just said, no way, Jose, and has allowed this 3-1 lead to remain.
Flyers maintain offensive zone pressure, but it's Mississauga now skating it out. With it, there is defenseman Ryder Graves setting the pass along the boards there as it's intercepted by the Flyers in their own end as they look to generate on the counter-attack. Just past the red line there, and it's the Sens once again forcing that turnover in the neutral zone, really making the Flyers work in every possession. With it there now, it's another turnover generated in front, and they keep at it, trying to get to it there once again, and it just goes past the blue line, so they're forced to skate it out, but some nifty work. Burst of speed here for Gabriel Trozo. He'll skate it along, trying to generate that in front of the net, and number 21 showcasing some of the wheels he has. And the Flyers now with it once again will just dump the puck in. And that appears all they can do at the moment. And here come the Senators once again on the counter-attack. It was sent back as they look to regroup. Here's Ethan Broussard now with it. He'll send it down the ice as Costello will go after it in a board battle. Flyers trying to maintain possession as they look to send it back the other way and try to get the tired players off for a line change. Broussard will send it back into the zone once again. And there they go. With it there was Adam Smeaton taking hard along the boards, but finally they gained the entry. With it there was Jimmy Lombardi back to the point, glove down by Ivankovic.
And the clean movement of the puck in the offensive zone for the Don Mills Flyers, moving it around so swiftly and trying to test Jack Ivankovic, but he just has been up to the task on every single play, and it's the defenders of the Mississauga Senators that have helped him out tremendously here right in front of the net. They've once again done a great job of clearing out Ivankovic's crease and preventing any Don Mills Flyers from being in his face.
And for Don Mills, you have to think they're going to want to try to get more traffic in front of Ivankovic, really affect his vision, because he is on his game tonight and he's seeing pucks through all angles.
Well, that's what they say. When a goalie's playing so well and so dialed in, you got to make their night difficult. And that's what the Don Mills Flyers really haven't been able to do for much of this game. They've gotten chances on Ivankovic, but they really haven't gotten enough bodies in front and taken away his vision at all. And as a result, you're allowing one of the best goalies in the GTHL to just do his thing, remain calm in the net, and generate momentum for himself.
In the Flyers zone now as they send it east to west. And it's just past the blue line. Turnover generated there by Valentini. Nice work the other way. He'll skate after it now and collect his own rebound. Here's Valentini back to Long. Just fanning on the shot, but getting it back once again. There was a rebound in front as it was a far side shot kept in by Bonomo. Bonomo back over to Valentini. Stopped by Poland.
And a great save there made by Abel Poland. It's the Mississauga Senators that are sending a lot of shots over from the side of the boards there, and that's due to the great defensive play on the Don Mills Flyers in the last few moments, preventing the front of the net to be easy real estate to generate chances from for these Mississauga Senators. It's great defensive play by these Flyers, preventing the Senators from running away with this game any farther than they already have.
In the offensive zone now, the Sens lose that draw, so they'll be forced to skate it back. Manza will send it in to Trozo, and they'll regroup once again. Back over the other way now for Justin Fernandez. His stretch pass will not connect as it's back the other way. Turnover generated by these Sens. The puck is down low now as it's Fernandez again. He'll get this attempt successful this time. It's a speedy play. Big hit along the boards. Once again, Don Mill Flyers player taken out.
The physicality ramping up, the Mississauga Senators letting their presence be felt as they are not allowing the Don Mills Flyers to get out of this game without any pain both on the scoreboard and inflicted on their bodies, with the physicality reigning strong for these Senators.
Trozo will skate it out into the neutral zone as it's sent back once again. The Flyers, since really the beginning of that second period, have not been able to sustain the offensive zone forecheck. And that's going to have to be their goal now in these final minutes of this third.
Absolutely. With 7 minutes to go and 2 goals needed to crawl their way back to a tie, there certainly is enough time, but it's just the chances that these Mississauga Senators are allowing them are few and far between. And as a result, the Don Mills Flyers are going to need perfection in the latter few moments if they are going to crawl their way back into this game.
And look at this attack right now by the Senators, forcing a turnover once again, gloved down by Poland. And it's Mississauga in full force in this third.
And Mississauga has really gotten the memo that they just need to shut this thing down. Ever since the start of the third period, they've been the better team by far. More dangerous offensively, more dangerous defensively, and especially in the physicality department, it has been all Mississauga all the time. The Don Mills Flyers don't really have much of an answer here in this third period, and with 6 minutes and 30 seconds still to go, they have enough time, but it's about whether or not they want it. They are really going to need to change the way they are going to play if they are to crawl their way back into this game, or at least get a goal to make this a closer game.
In the defensive zone now, they'll skate it up themselves. It's Ryder Graves bursting through the middle of the ice. We'll send it into the corner, and we talk about this Mississauga team. They have mobility among their blue liners. They can skate it up themselves to start off the attack. Brought back the other way now. Just over skating it there was Jaden Connors. It's a pass off the board there, trying to get it through to Broussard. They'll send the pass in front to Valentini, trying to cut to the middle of the ice, but wasn't able to smoothly do it there. Another big open ice hit collision by these Sens once again. They deliver it, and now some shenaniganery going on post whistle as it appears another call will be made.
And this could be game defining, as it appears to be the Don Mills Flyers skating to the penalty box. So the Mississauga Senators will get another in a long line of power play chances, and up 3-1. This will be their chance to cruise to victory.
5:33 remaining in this third period. 3-1 Senators on the power play. Let's see what's going to happen. On the face-off attempt now, it's brought back by Trozo. Over to Taylor, quick puck movement on the far side attempt, holding on to it, back in front for Trozo! And there was an open net, but just failing to connect as there were some Flyers in front. Here was Trozo, another shot in front as it was just kicked aside by Poland and brought back out by Don Mills. And now it's a shorthanded chance the other way. Here is Shamar Moses trying to cut through and just falling short. He'll have to skate back. It's a incoming 3-on-2 chance for Mississauga, but it was just brought back into the corners. Another collision there. Breer long down low, shoving this man along the boards. Ivan Kovic will come out to play it now, as the Senators will stop up and look for options. Skating it up there themselves. It was Trozo. He's not afraid to handle the puck as a defenseman, quarterbacking this unit. And it's the Flyers once again. Fortunate bounce to keep it in. It's deemed offside.
And so fortunately for these Don Mills Flyers, the play is going to move right outside of the Mississauga Senators offensive zone, where they have been able to just run rampant all throughout this third period. They've been all over the Don Mills Flyers, and really, they just haven't had an answer whatsoever in this third period. So right outside of the offensive zone, we now go for these Mississauga Senators and their power play efforts.
Jaden Connors now below the goal line will look for options and will elect to skate it up the ice himself. Here is Connors with it. Along the half wall, they're able to get to it, trying to find Sean Costello. He'll be forced back now as he turns around, but his puck is brought back in down low. Skating after it there, trying to regain possession. Bonomo can't hold the blue line, and Don Mills forces the turnover. As Shamar Moses once again setting it up, as the tired penalty killers will leave the ice. With it now, just in the neutral zone once again. Another open ice collision. This time Ethan Broussard taking the hit. Was able to make the play though as it's brought back in down low in front. Connors will try to hold the zone. Looks like he's able to do so. Brought back in, far side shot. Costello trying to get that redirect. Was Broussard, but it just went wide of the net. Nonetheless, they maintain the offensive zone. And for a team up 2 goals late in the third, they sure are pushing for offense. Loose in front, just failing to trickle through. It was Matthew Manza as he'll go up for it once again, trying to drive the slot, but just falling short, and Bonomo will send it back in. And Luca Bonomo being out there with these final few minutes left just showcases the trust that this Sens team has in him. He's a U15 player, and despite his mistake earlier, he's getting another shot at it. Here's Broussard now. Or rather, it was Ryan Days sending it then down low, far side shot, and it's bodied down by Abel Poland.
And with 2 minutes and 55 seconds still to go in this third period, it's the Don Mills Flyers at this point deciding that they need to ramp up in their physical end of the ice in these series, knowing that the series won't be done after game 1. The mission is for the losing team, often at this time in the game, is just to leave their mark physically and tell them, you might be up 1-0 in the series, but heading into next game, we are not going to let you get away with that without any pain inflicted in the game. And they definitely, I would expect for these Don Mills Flyers, will be continuing their physical play in the latter parts of this game.
Far range shot just over the helmet of Poland, and trying to receive that trickling puck. There are the Flyers trying to win it back now. Ivan Kovic will come out to play it as Troza forced to make a quick decision. He'll cut to the middle of the ice. Has to be careful on that one, but nonetheless they're able to get it out. Another open ice collision. Once again, Gabriel Troza this time laying the body. And you're going to have to start to sense the desperation of this Flyers team. They do not want to go down 1-0 in this series and are looking for a goal to bring them within one.
That's why these Mississauga Senators cannot afford to give them that opportunity. They need to continue to smother their opposition here in this game and not allow them to lay the body like the Don Mills Flyers just did at the boards there. And they need to be the team that's first every puck and just cruise their way to victory here, not allowing the Don Mills Flyers chances of their own.
And that puck is gloved down by Abel Poland with 1:40 to go in the third.
And aside from making the save, the most important thing there for the Mississauga Senators is the fact that they have another offensive zone face-off 200 feet away from their goaltender. They cannot afford the Don Mills Flyers getting chances on their net, and as a result, they're going to be driving hard in the offensive zone to maintain pressure and ensure that this 3-1 lead remains for the remainder of this game. And that's absolutely what I would assume Stephen Kamegna is talking to these Mississauga Senators about at that bench here with about 2 minutes left to go.
Well, it's head coach Daryl Levi of the Don Mills Flyers calling that timeout. What do you think he's saying to this group to try to inspire them to force that comeback?
Well, certainly he's saying that if you guys continue to dash in with speed, you've gotten the chances. You just need to continue to pepper shots on Ivan Kovic. You got to make them recognize that if they get into the zone, if they could afford to stave off this defensive zone pressure from the Mississauga Senators, they can move their way across the ice, get chances on Jack Ivankovic, and tell them that it only takes one to get within one. And once you get that goal, you go from there. They are not out of this game by any stretch of the imagination. There is enough time. It's all about how much they want it.
The face-off won back by Don Mills as they look to exit the zone. Just over the red line now, unable to get that pass over to the stick of Moses, and they're forced back once again. Less than 90 seconds to go. Jimmy Lombardi in the zone then, nearly turning it over the other way! And Caden Taylor going for the hat trick, just miss. Looked like it might have hit the post.
It certainly looked that way with Caden Taylor with that major snipe from right at the top of the slot, trying to launch it over Abel Poland, but he's able to tip that right to the side of the net, and it certainly did look like it skimmed off that post as it cleared away.
Here's Medopoulos now, sending that back into the corner, loose in front of the goal, and that cross-seam pass just failing to connect in the sense. are able to dump it out once again, but it will be called for the icing.
And so we'll get a face-off one more time in the offensive zone for these Don Mills Flyers. Only down by 2. It only takes one shot. Doesn't need to be perfectly placed. It could trickle in from wherever. All that matters is that you cross the goal line right past Ivankovic to get yourself within 1.
And Abel Poland has gone to the bench. It's a 6-on-5 for Don Mills. Down by 2 with less than a minute to go. The linesman there interjects, but we get set to drop the puck as desperation ensues. Going after it there and winning that draw. Able to find the stick of Harding. Shot through traffic, just redirected wide of the net, but they keep it in down low. Battling for that puck. This is what the Senators want, is to force the play along the boards, not into that middle of the ice. But loose in front of the net, trying to drive that home. And some nifty work there to get it out by Manza. And Don Mills is going to have to be careful. We'll need one last chance. Some nifty work by Shamar Moses, showcasing the dangles. Can he provide the finish that this Don Mills team requires? Going after it there was Pantalone. Into the corner now. In front of the net for Moses! And he just misses on that attempt. And it's brought back all the way down to the other end. Limited time remaining. And that will do it. The Mississauga Senators win 3-1 over the Don Mills Flyers in Game 1.
And they go up 1-0 in this series. And for the Mississauga Senators, what this game told them is that it certainly won't be easy. The Don Mills Flyers didn't give them an easy time. But nonetheless, they know that if they continue to play their game, if they continue to limit the turnovers and the sloppiness of play, they absolutely have the skill to win this series and continue their domination and go on potentially even a deep playoff run. But this series is far from over. The Don Mills Flyers are going to be coming back just as hungry next game because they showed themselves that if they play their game, they could absolutely skate with the Mississauga Senators. And if they didn't get the amazing play by Jack Ivankovic against them, they absolutely could have been the victors in tonight's game.
Well, that'll do it from the Paramount Fine Food Center. For Jared Rotenberg, I'm Jordan Jacklin, and you just watched GTHL Hockey on the 6 Hockey YouTube channel. Make sure to click like and subscribe as we will get these rolling every day.